Welcome to Card Payment in a Nutshell webinar, part 3, Compliance and Regulatory. In this webinar, I want to discuss what bodies are influencing card payments in terms of the regulation, financial regulation, legal regulation, compliance regulation. I am going to cover industrial entities like PCI Council, EMVCo. I am going to show how payment schemes are influencing and what is the responsibility of payment schemes, and also indicate and discuss how political entities on the level of the region like European Union or on the level of the certain country like government or parliament are influencing the card payments. Let's start with the industry entities. The first is Payment Card Industry Security Standards Council. The organization takes care about the security of the sensitive data in the payment system and the security of storage and the transmission of the data in payment system. It defines 4 standards. The first is for the security of payment terminals, called PCI PTS, PIN Entry Device. The second is about the security of payment application. The standard is called PCI PA-DSS, Payment Application. The third one is called PCI DSS. It's a very general standard defining how what security rules should be applied for the systems, for the organization like retailers, acquirers, issuers in terms of data processing, data storage, data transmission. And PCI Security Council also defines P2P encryption rules, which is about exchanging the sensitive data in the secure way between different components of the system. The components could be host, server, devices, terminals, and stuff like that. Let's start discussion with PCI PTS, which is the standard defining security for devices. Originally, there was only one standard for PIN entry device defined. Then, following the developments in the device technologies, the PCI Council defined more standard or started diversifying the specifications for the PIN entry devices and other kind of devices, like encrypted PIN pads, especially used in the ATMs, like HSM modules, where a lot of encryptions are performed, not only big devices, but also as a components of other devices, unattended payment terminals, even some readers, in the case the reader contains the secure data and processes secure data, non-pad devices having the secure data and having no keyboard, and other components used to build bigger, for example, self-service kiosks. Manufacturer of the device applies for the certification. There is a list of certified laboratories. Laboratories make tests according to the specification and issue the result of the test. Then the manufacturer of the device goes to the PCI Council, presents the results of the tests, and receives the certificate. All certified devices are listed on the official web page of PCI Council. The second is the certificate related to the applications, PCI PA-DSS. Originally, there was one document specifying the payment application. At the moment, the Council decided to discuss separately different kind of payment applications involved in different way into the processing of sensitive payment data. It could be about applications, front-end applications on the fuel dispenser or automatic kiosk, POS kiosk. It could be about the payment modules, middleware, gateways. It could be about the administration or back office software. All kinds of softwares are covered. All kinds of softwares which could be found in the payment systems are covered and specified. Again, The supplier of the software, the manufacturer of the software, goes to the authorized laboratory and laboratory performs tests against the specified list of test cases. And the laboratory issues the test results. With the test results, manufacturer of the software goes to the PCI Council and applies for the certificate. The list of all certified software modules allowed to be used in payment systems can be found on the official web page of PCI Council. Now, let's go to PCI DSS, Data Security Standard. The standard specifies areas and provides either the rules or good practices or requirements how various areas should be organized. It specifies, as I said, 12 sections, which I divided into the 6 areas. How to build and maintain the secure network and system, how to protect cardholder data, how to maintain a vulnerability management, how to implement strong access control measures, how to monitor and test networks regularly, and how to maintain an information security policy in the organization. The requirements are common for retailers, for issuers, for acquirers and other organizations. The organization goes to authorized laboratory. Authorized laboratory performs assessment tests of the whole organization in terms of the technical infrastructure, building, procedures, knowledge and awareness of the employees and stuff like that, and gives the certificate. Certificate shows how the particular organization conforms to the requirements. And if the organization conforms to the requirements, then organization like issuer, retailer or acquirer can get the certificate and can claim they are PCI DSS certified. There is no common list which shows who is certified, who isn't certified. The organizations show themselves and keep and maintain the fact that they must be compliant with PCI DSS. Details of that standard are presented in the separate specialized webinar, so I am not going to discuss point by point. Please go to this specialized webinar. The second organization, industry organization, is EMVCo. EMVCo takes care mostly about interoperability between different devices and a little bit about security of devices. Originally, EMVCo invented 2 standards, or 2 kind of interoperability tests. For terminals, called terminal type approval, and for cards, called card type approval. In the case of terminal, each terminal contains various readers. And EMVCo specifies interoperability requirements for EMV readers and for contactless readers. On the physical layer, it's called level 1 type approval. On the logical layer, it's called level 2 type approval. All readers certified, all terminals certified on the level 1 or on the level 2 are listed on the official EMVCo webpage. The manufacturer goes to the laboratory performs tests against specification, provides test results, and EMVCo issues the certificate. Certificates have a limited time validity, so manufacturer must periodically recertify the devices. For level 1, it's a period of 4 years. For level 2, it's a period of 3 years. In the terms of cards are tested against Common Payment Application specification, and all cards certified by EMVCo are listed on the official webpage. The routine is the same, the scenario is the same. Manufacturer of the card goes to the testing laboratory performs test against specification and sends test results to EMVCo, and EMVCo grants the certificate. Through the years, EMVCo invented much more kind of certificates, and the most important are certificate of mobile device against mobile payment applications located on the smartphones, and they invented also security evaluation of secure tokens used for the payments. They also invented the tests showing how device is immune to electrostatic discharge. All those three standards are also a subject of certification, so manufacturers go to the laboratory performs tests, and the tests are used to grant the certificate. And there is also the sixth one, which is not associated with the formal certification and listing, but it is a kind of best practices and rules. There is a working group called terminal integration, and the purpose of that is to somehow unified testing process used by brands, by payment schemes, by payment organizations. We provide specialized webinar where we discuss details of EMVCo process, of EMVCo specifications, certification rules, renewal rules, and if anybody is interested in more detailed description and presentation, please go to this specialized webinar. Now let's go to payment schemes and see how payment schemes participate in generating or issuing the regulatory and compliance rules. First of all, payment schemes define mandates. What does it mean? It means that EMVCo defines the standard for compliance, interoperability, and security of terminals, but the payment scheme defines about the dates, when the regulation becomes mandatory, when it is optional, when the certain version of the devices must be removed from the market. So this is the responsibility of payment schemes. And always when we speak about the standards, we must see who defines the standard, which is EMVCo or PCI or somebody else, and we must see who defines mandates for standard implementation and deployment. The second part are end-to-end testing. Each payment organization defines own rules of testing, end-to-end testing. I mean, when the new player like issuer or acquirer comes to the market, comes to the game, it must prepare the system of technical connections, authorization, settlement between them and merchants and the various parties. And at the end, the payment organization performs the end-to-end test. End-to-end tests could be quite simple, like something like 50-80 test cases. And there are some organizations defining quite complex end-to-end tests, having more than 800 test cases. EMVCo tries to unify somehow end-to-end tests made by payment organizations, defined terminal integration standard. However, it's too early stage to say that it will be unified and it will converge. And the third one, very interesting, is payment schemes, payment organizations define rules for contactless kernels and level 2 compatibility. If we go to EMV, then level 1, the physical layer of EMV cards and EMV readers, is defined by EMVCo. And the level 2, logical layer between the kernel on the terminal and the application on the card is defined by EMVCo. It is common for all payment schemes. When it comes to the contactless, situation is different. The level 1 physical layer is specified by EMVCo and tested against EMVCo specs, and level 2 is specified by each payment organization separately, which means Visa defines PayWave, MasterCard defines PayPass, American Express defines ExpressPay, and each another organization defines own standard of contactless kernel, which means that the testing laboratories must be authorized by the payment organization, not by EMVCo, not by PCI. Now, the last part about the political bodies, political entities. We will discuss European Union as an example, and we will discuss examples of national regulations from Central Eastern Europe territory. Four most important regulations for European Union having impact or affecting the payments are PSD2. PSD2, the regulation coming in 2018 and widely discussed today because it brings deregulation of the banking business in Europe, and it creates the space for the new fintechs to have access to bank accounts and to implement the new payment and money transfer standards and services using the modern technologies. It's a lot of regulatory on European Union level, and all member countries must implement all regulations, either follow exactly the European Union or a little bit modify within allowed margin. We provide dedicated webinar discussing PSD2 together with the consequences for various players on the market. If you are interested in more details, please go to this specialized webinar. The next regulation is anti-money laundering. This is the common regulation defining not only payments but also bank regulation, money transfer between individuals, money transfer between the companies. The goal of that regulation is to limit the illegal transaction and limit the expansion of the terrorism, financing the terrorism. The next regulation, interchange fee regulation, the regulation has been already implemented, and it says that four-party scheme cards, consumer cards issued by four-party schemes, cannot use interchange fees higher than 0.2% for debit cards and 0.3% for credit cards. This is the cap, and all payment schemes can use only lower fees, not higher than it is regulated by the political body. And the SEPA is the very high-level regulation issued in the past. It covers three areas: credit transfer, direct debit, and card payments. In the area of credit transfer and direct debit, all members of European Union already implemented. In terms of cards, it is still the subject of the implementation processes and some changes. The goal of SEPA is to unify services in all member countries. Now let's go to the Central Eastern Europe and some country-specific regulations. We start with the Parliament and the government originated regulatory. Russia. Russian Parliament defined the national law of cashless payments and defined the act introducing the national payment scheme MIR. It's quite modern act defining the rules for payment, for data processing, also giving the access for some telco companies to perform the consumer retail payments. Other countries or former Soviet republics are, some of them are issuing or managing the national payment schemes. Two examples are Belarus with Belcard and Uzbekistan with Uzcard. In other countries, there are either no local payment schemes or there are at the same time multiple payment schemes, like in Kazakhstan. Poland, the Polish Parliament introduced interchange fee reduction 2 times before European Union decided to implement the same. So in Poland, the maximum level of interchange fee 0.2% and 0.3% was mandatory much before European Union decided to do that. Turkey is an interesting country where the regulation completely changed and in the disruptive way the POS business. Turkey introduced fiscalization in the cloud, which means that the copy receipt of each fiscal receipt must be stored in the cloud, and each payment terminal must be equipped with the fiscal module and must store all copies of receipts. At the same time, all payment terminals were converted to cash registers. Before the regulation, banks were buying payment terminals and renting terminals to merchants. After the regulations, merchants are buying, retailers are buying terminals with the functionality of cash register. Please imagine 2 million devices in the field changed by one regulation. Banks lost the devices and merchants started buying the devices. And the next interesting case is Estonia. Estonia defines the cybersecurity limitations or requirements for the top 4 banks operating in Estonia, which says in the case there is a cybersecurity attack on Estonia. Estonia is isolated in terms of internet, or there are some electricity blackout issues. Those 4 banks are obligated to establish and set up and at least 70% of services, consumer services, within 24 hours. And of course, it impacts the card payment as well. So doing business with card payments in Estonia means that these regulations must be respected. Another source are national central banks. Usually those banks are monitoring the market and make some recommendations for the market. Time to time, those banks are making some investigations and provide market reports. It's quite common. Examples are Poland, Russia, Ukraine, Estonia, Romania, and Croatia. Then in some countries there are supervisory bodies. Example is Poland with KNF, Komisja Nadzoru Finansowego, which is the financial supervisory committee. And this committee issues the payment licenses of payment institution in Poland. If anybody wants to accept cashless payments, must get the payment institution license from that body, which is not easy, which is strictly controlled and protects against fraudulent behavior from the companies having intention to make acceptance. In a few countries in Central Eastern Europe, we can find the national processors influencing the card processing and card usage. Examples are Turkey and with BKM. BKM operates the national payment scheme TROY and acts as a national processor. And another example is Borica in Bulgaria, who is a national processor. All banks except one process transactions through Borica. Those organizations provide some statistical reports on the card market, card acceptance markets, values, number of transactions, and stuff like that. And at the end, it's also worth to mention that in some countries there are associations actively involved into the card processing and card usage. Examples are Bank Card Association from Czech Republic or Digital Economy Chamber in Poland. Those associations are acting as a lobbying. They are moderating the society of professionals. They are issuing some recommendations for the parliament and decision makers, and they perform also some reports. And this is the list of the major bodies and major regulations having impact on card payments. We discussed PCI Council, we discussed EMVCO, we discussed the payment schemes, we discussed also political entities like European Union for a number of Central European countries and examples of the national laws and national bodies. That's the end of the webinar. Thank you very much for listening.